All right, so we've got a really weird clip, to be honest. I really don't know how else to put it, but just a weird clip here from Jimmy Dore. Now, Jimmy Dore does his live streams, and in this live stream, he's asked a question about interviewing a candidate who's running. I don't know if she's part of the DSA or if she just self-describes as a democratic socialist, which usually she probably means social democrat. But her name's Lauren Ashcraft, and I guess she's running in New York 12th, the 12th district of New York. And so someone asked Jimmy Dore whether or not he'd be down to interview her. And so we're going to look at this very odd clip here. But first, I want to let you guys know that I'm over on Patreon, patreon.com/theprogressivevoice. If you guys want access to Patreon-only content, go over to patreon.com/theprogressivevoice. We got some really dope videos over there, so definitely make sure to go over there. Or you can click the join button, and you also get access to the same content. So either way, you're really supporting the show, and I really appreciate it. Anyways, so back to the video here. So as you guys know, Jimmy Dore's sort of feelings towards the Justice Democrats, and Bernie Sanders for that matter, have been really sort of rocky. If you recall, he was actually one of the first, and this is something, one of the rare instances where you can actually give Jimmy Dore credit for something, but he actually was one of the first people to interview Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, if not like the first person. So, he was like one of the first people to interview AOC, okay? And so he was, really on board with the Justice Democrats. He was a huge supporter of the Justice Democrats. And then he really, went on his own way. He kind of went, Jimmy version of MGTOW. After AOC went on the air and basically said that, like, we need to rally around all of the Democrats in the general election, he completely flipped out and just totally lost all of his marbles and went insane. Like, a weirdly disproportionate, like, response to that comment. And it was just kind of really weird in general because, like, the Democratic primary just happened and now it's going to be a general. Like, what do you want AOC to do? The primary's over. She won her seat. All the other elections are also decided. So, what is she supposed to do? Like, I don't know, have some magical powers? It just seems weird. It seemed weird. And so, funny enough, the Majority Report, of course, came out against Jimmy Dore's blah, blah nonsense in a good way. And so they were, definitely on point there, as you can see. Jimmy, on the other hand, not really on point so much. So Jimmy just did a live show with Kyle Kulinski. So you'd be like, that's weird that he's doing this. But I generally think that he has no ill will or sort of bad feeling towards Kyle. Although I do feel like he harbors some towards Cenk and TYT. But this was before this happened. So he's also going to make a really, really cringy joke here that I'm going to have to skip over because we don't want to lose monetary status. But her name is Lauren Ashcraft, so you know what that sounds like, He literally he makes a joke about her name being Lauren the behind, the word for the behind, and then crack. Like, that's really cringy because it's like the person, like, if she hears that, she's gonna be like, what? Like, that'd be so awkward and weird. But, it's sad because in general, Jimmy's a funny guy, but that's literally, objectively speaking, like one of the worst jokes I've ever heard in my life. Like, come on, bro. Really, dude? No wonder this guy failed at comedy. But he's generally speaking a funny person. That's the worst part about it. But let's hear out Jimmy Dore here.
Super liberal, ultra proud millennial American blah, blah, says, hey, Jimmy, will you consider interviewing my friend Lauren Ashcraft? Watch her interview with Mike, New York's 12th. She just had an interview with Mike Figueredo and Cenk. Well, then she's covered then. Sure, I'll have Lauren Ashcraft on. Is Lauren Ashcraft a Justice Democrat? See if Lauren Ashcraft is a Justice Democrat. If she is, probably not.
What did you just say, Ruby?
She's not a Justice Democrat?
She's a progressive Democrat from the District 12 in New York.
All right. Take her name down. Let's see if we can get her on then.
So let me replay that end portion there for you just so you can hear it again.
Sure, I'll have Lauren Ashcraft on. Is Lauren Ashcraft a Justice Democrat? See if Lauren Ashcraft is a Justice Democrat. If she is, probably not.
What did you just say, Ruby?
She's not a Justice Democrat?
She's a progressive Democrat from the District 12 in New York.
All right. Take her name down. Let's see if we can get her on then.
All right. So really, really weird, right? I think that's the best way to put this clip is weird So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull out all of the plausible theories of his comment and explanations of his comment possible. Okay. So for if you didn't understand what he just did, he's like, oh, is Lauren a Justice Democrat? And he says, if she is a Justice Democrat, we most likely won't interview her, or we won't be able to interview her, whichever one you would take that as. And then he finds out on, while he's doing the live stream, obviously, that she is not a Justice Democrat. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, well, then we'll have her on. Sure thing. Interestingly, he's kind of gone from like doing interviews with people like AOC, who obviously won, to, support people who, tend to lose. So I don't mean any ill will by this comment I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that. But, someone like Seema Hernandez, who he's had on, who has like 0 chance of winning. I'm sorry, but it's just true. She's running for a Senate seat. There's no chance. But, he's kind of gone from having people like AOC on his show to people like that on his show, which is interesting. But here are the sort of couple of plausible theories that have been proposed of this, okay? A is that Jimmy Dore holds ill will towards the Justice Democrats, because he finds them to be, one that's not... He wants to go a third-party route, okay? He, for a while, was going against the Justice Democrats, against Bernie Sanders, and saying, dude, we need a third party. We need to go in a grassroots action through a third-party means, not through the Democratic Party. And so, we pretty extensively covered that whole saga. So if you want to find out more of his comments, you can go back and just look up the videos on that I did, because covered them pretty sort of in full length. But, he was totally on the third-party train. Now, of course, Jimmy Dore's not going to start a third party. He's not, like, going to do anything to actually... get it off the ground. He's just going to talk and whine, pretty much, Unlike Kyle, who actually started a group that actually did something, Jimmy's more the type of guy to, like, sit there and whine and then, take super chats where, someone like Kyle's actually going to do something, But he was going on this stupid tangent, and so, one of the things is he probably holds ill will towards the Justice Democrats. I mean, that's what it seems like to me. I don't know if he's done any more interviews with the Justice Democrats, any Justice Democrat candidates since that situation. Now, a second theory of this could be this. It could be that he understands or he knows that Justice Democrats candidates are possibly being advised to not go on the Jimmy Dore Show for an interview. As you guys know, Bernardino Sanders has gone on the Majority Report like 2 or 3 times. He's been on Tom Hartman's show. So, him going on the Majority Report and not going on the Jimmy Dore Show really pissed Jimmy off, guys. That really made him angry and pissed off. So, that means that someone in Bernie's team is like, no, we're not going to do this. We're not going to have you on the Jimmy Dore Show, because as you guys know, Jimmy Dore has some pretty kooky theories that you can also look up. I also have extensive videos on that. So it's also possible that, Justice Democrats have taken a sort of likewise approach, and they're basically advising their candidates to keep their distance from the Jimmy Dore Show, not go on the Jimmy Dore Show for an interview, That's a possibility. That's sort of the second possibility, and I think that there's certain likelihood. It could be a combination of those two as well, by the way. There could be a combination of those two as well, where it could be like he holds ill will because of that. You know what I'm saying? It could be, or they did that because he holds ill will. I don't know. It could be some sort of a combination of both. Now, this third one, I'm being ultra charitable here, even though I don't believe this one really in the slightest. But if you look at the clip there, he sort of is someone said here, and let's hear it again.
See if Lauren Ashcraft is a Justice Democrat. If she is, probably not.
So what someone was saying in my live chat was like, oh, he might have been saying, see if she's a Justice Democrat, if she is, and then like he switches his thought process to like, cuts off his sentence and then decides to answer whether or not she's a Justice Democrat, not whether or not they'd have her on. So in other words, he's saying, oh, check if she's a Justice Democrat, if she is, and then he cuts off his sentence saying, oh, she's probably not. I don't believe that one even for a second or the slightest, but I thought I'd throw it out there just for charitable sake, I guess. I don't know. This could either be like him shading the Justice Democrats, or to me, it's that in some way, shape, or form. There's no way to me that this is anything else than that, but just to throw it out there, I guess that could technically be a possibility. But I would say that this is sort of just a weird clip in general. There's so many sort of questions in the air for me. And it's pretty apparent that Jimmy holds some ill will towards both the Justice Democrats and Cenk Uygur and the Young Turks. Jimmy always brag about his live viewership in comparison to the Young Turks, and kind of make fun of them for it and brag about it and stuff like that. So, I'm curious to see if he's gonna talk about this anymore. He did just do a live show with Kyle Kulinski. Now, Kyle obviously was a co-founder of the Justice Democrats, but I genuinely don't think that Jimmy Dore has any sort of ill will, towards Kyle Kulinski. I think he really likes Kyle. I think he's really good friends with him. But when it comes to Cenk and TYT, I think there is some sort of little boiling, action, if you want to call it, going down there. But anyways, the Justice Democrats are a really great organization. I want to say that Jimmy Dore is never really going to do anything to start a third party, nor do I think the third party is a feasible route. I think that it will not show any sort of results whatsoever, and as I've said, I've gone into that very extensively. But anyways, let me know your thoughts on this down below. Very curious to hear them.